a homeowner in Reading now. So I felt it was finally time to really join on, and Bethany, let me know about a vacancy, and I'm happy to join the team. And I have, seen many of you around in the field, or some of you even taught classes of mine that I've taken in college. So it's good to be here, and I'm excited to learn.
So Sarah, can you talk to us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I have a degree in environmental studies and Spanish from Albright College. I moved here to go to college. I'm originally from Philly, and I currently work at Schuylkill River Greenways National Heritage Area. We're a nonprofit in Pottstown, and we do work all over the Schuylkill River watershed. Lots of engagement, outdoor recreation, environmental education, and I'm the education director there. I worked at RAC for a couple of years, and I taught Spanish and English classes there. And I was on a board for a while in Pottstown for a Latinx serving community organization, and helped them build a strategic plan and stuff. So I'm excited to kind of be on another board in a new and different way, and learn more about the city of Reading.
Well, Kathy, I don't know about you, but I heard a lot of opportunities there for Sarah to become actively involved in our work. So it's wonderful that you're joining us. It's great to have you on board.
Thank you.
Maybe we can just share ourselves in terms of what our backgrounds are for Sarah, and I guess I'll lead things off. So I'm the current acting chair of the EAC. I'm a prior chair, and because of Scott Case's resignation earlier this year, Scott was our chair. I needed to step in to assume that role. But I am a private practice environmental, energy, and sustainability lawyer. I have been practicing in this field for almost 35 years. And an Albright College grad as well. So wonderful to hear that you come to us from Albright. Next.
Okay, I'll go. I'm Kathy Kern-Myers. I have, as Sarah knows a little bit, I was on the faculty at Alvernia and an adjunct faculty member teaching environmental law and policy at Albright. So I've been teaching environmental law and policy for the last 10 years. Prior to that, I practiced environmental law and policy primarily in the public sector, and actually got to be a policymaker in environmental water policy during the Rendell administration, when I was Deputy Secretary for Water. Moved to Reading about 10 years ago, and I was fortunate to find the people on the EAC, and there was a vacancy, and we've done a lot of really good boots on the ground kinds of things to help this community become more green and resilient and sustainable, and lots of good people. And we're excited to we were trying hard to recruit some younger people, because as you can see, a lot of us are getting a little gray, and we want the next generation to pick up and exceed where we started. And so we're very happy to have you.
Yeah, Sarah and I have talked, and I'm not sure if it was my trying to may have recruited her via Sarah Chudnowski. Anyway, I'm a retired architect. I've been on the commission for about 2 years, council for about 2 years, and I'm just going to parrot what Kathy said. I mean, I think I see your joining as just a step in the process. We have 2 more vacancies to fill, and our hope is that we'll be able to do that with a couple of younger people and a couple of other people from the city who so that we become more reflective of the city that we're representing and working for. So I'm glad you decided to do this, and the only thing I could say is have a little patience. It takes a little while to get into the rhythm, and sometimes it seems like these meetings maybe accomplish less than what is hoped for, but I think what I've learned is that a lot gets done in spite of it appearing that way sometimes. And I'm really hopeful that we're embarking on a really productive year. So thanks for joining us.
And I should have said, as Bill did, Bill's a city resident, I'm a city resident, David's also a resident. So we are, I'm trying to encourage that to continue, but also get more diversity on the board.
Yeah. And Sarah is a resident, which she didn't.
Yes. So.
David, we should, I don't know where you're headed next, but we should introduce Desi and David Nazario while we're doing that, or do we want to wait until we get to that agenda item?
No, we can do that now. I just figured that everyone who was on the call here could start with introduction. So let's continue right along.
Did you want to go ahead, Desiree, or did you want me to jump in?
Can go. Thanks.
Hi,
Hi, everyone.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm Desiree Chesson. I'm a student at RAC currently. I'm also an education assistant at the Reading Science Center, which is a nonprofit bringing science and STEM to Reading youth. I'm on the YWCA Young Women's Council, which is focusing on sustainability and social inclusion. I'm happy to be here and to be included in the EAC's work.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's good to see everyone. My name is David Nazario. My pronouns are he, him. For work, I do a number of different things. I fashion myself a writer, a speaker, and educator. So I've done a number of different things in the education space while pursuing a writing career. I'm currently working as a resident, artist in residence, for South Central Partners, which is a Lancaster-based organization where I go into high schools and different organizations to teach poetry and writing. I think I got connected with the EAC through William and through Stephanie and through some other people who I've worked with or who have worked with people that know me in the community space as far as working with nonprofits and sitting on different boards and speaking out and writing about things having to do with mindfulness and social justice. So I'm really excited to be joining the EAC and working in this community engagement role. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, great to have you with us.
Thank you.
We probably should have said by way of introduction of David and Desiree that the Bill and I in the Green Infrastructure Subcommittee volunteered to do our search for some people, some staff people for the EAC to improve our outreach and communication and education efforts and make them consistent and ongoing and reaching out to in more ways and to more of the community than we've been able to reach ourselves. So we're very excited that we got Desiree and convinced them to give us some of their precious time and think about ways we can engage going forward with the community, especially given that the city is going to be doing public participation and creating its sustainability and resilience plan, and which originally was called the Clean Energy Plan, but it is morphing into being broader and including more aspects of sustainability. So we want to make sure that the whole community gets engaged on this important effort, and we wanted to assist the city to do more than they'll be able to do with the staff they have to make sure we get a good dialogue on this subject. So we wanted to spearhead something, and we're ready to go, ready and excited to get started.
And then let me just sort of add to what Kathy said along those lines. I mean, I think our sense in the beginning is that this would be the work that Desi and David they do will be in coordination and supportive of Bethany's work. And I mean, I think that's what we're seeing. We're kind of amplifying the resources, let's say, that the city has, and kind of it's not separate or in addition or instead of. It's really, we kind of really see this as part of. And we've already talked that Kathy, Bethany, Desi, David, and Stephanie, I think that's the team that we've kind of identified, and maybe Michelle's part of that too. We'll stay in communication and coordination as this goes forward. So.
All right. Anyone participating in the meeting who has not offered their introductions to Sarah?
Yeah, it's Marcia Goodman-Hendershitz. I'm at this point the city council appointment to the EAC. I've asked to be continued to be appointed. We won't be making our definite decisions until next Monday night. So I did get to meet Sarah through the interviewing process and very excited. And I have to say to the EAC, we've come a long way since this group was started. So even though sometimes the process seems slow, I think it's because we're tackling such challenging issues. And I'm glad to have the new people on board to be bringing different perspectives on how we can accomplish just to keep the city and our environment cleaner and safer.
And I'm Bethany Ayers-Fisher. I'm the new sustainability manager, and I work out of the Public Works Department. And I am officially in this role, the liaison for Public Works. I was formerly the educator, and that position is now open. So hopefully we'll be hiring a new educator shortly to add to our communications team. And welcome to Sarah. I'm very excited that you accepted the challenge. And I'm excited to work with Desiree and with David going forward. We've got some exciting things happening this year.
Okay, bye.
Okay, now
We're
that,
finished.
now that introductions are behind us, I guess we can officially call the meeting to order. Anyone from the public participating today with comment to offer?
No one has registered.
Okay. We can then move on to approving the minutes from, I believe, October and November. Shelley?
So moved.
Correct. Yes.
Is there a second to the motion?
Kathy's
Second.
seconding, Michelle.
Oops, second.
Yep, I got her.
I was mute.
Okay, we have a second to the motion. Any questions, comments? If not, I'll call a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carried. I'd like to move next, just in case I would need to drop off here, to our official reorganization, which happens our first meeting of every calendar year in January. We need to appoint a chair and a vice chair. I stepped into this role last spring. I was vice chair with the understanding that I did not want to be chair again, having been chair several times about 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Only because I think we've moved beyond my leadership capabilities, and I certainly am willing to stay involved. For instance, if no one is willing to step up as vice chair, or if you need me to continue facilitating these meetings for a period of time, I'm certainly willing to do that. It's just that, when I look at the very good work that, Kathy's doing with her committee, and it worked out really well when Scott was involved as chair, because he brought some exemplary leadership characteristics with him to this role. Hopefully there's someone out there who's willing to assume the role of chair. But if not, I certainly want to, reassure everyone who's participating today that, I'll certainly continue to do what everyone wants me to do, but with the understanding that, we shouldn't be looking to me for the leadership where this organization needs to go, simply because of my time commitments right now are absolutely crazy. So I really can't devote the time and attention to this that is required. So what's the collective thinking about, where we want to go with leadership during the course of the next year?
Yeah, sorry I was late. I had a meeting that was running late. So I went from one meeting to another, but my time commitments are really like, I wouldn't have time to do it either. So if you are willing to do it.
Well, again, I mean, I'm willing to do it with the understanding that that the role here really would be more of an administrative one. You know, if you're looking for someone to do what Scott did for us for the last 2 years, that's not me, simply because of my time commitments. I mean, I'm really unable to do that. Nor do I have Scott's skill set, nor do I have his skill set, quite frankly. But Kathy, I know, is very, very busy with her committee work. So if the collective understanding is that, David will look to you for the administrative function of helping to run these meetings and helping out elsewhere when I can, that's certainly something I'm willing to do. I just want to make sure that everybody's okay with that understanding and what the limitation on my role would be. I know this is not a position that everybody's raising their hand saying, "Oh, I want to do this."
Yeah.
So, we certainly want to make sure the position is covered, and I'm willing to make sure we don't skip a beat. We just need to make sure that our committees are appropriately staffed with leaders who are moving us forward, and they are, which is a good thing.
I was wondering whether Bill would be willing to take it up with David's help. The rest of us have all been chair before.
Yeah, I've been mulling this over because I know how this works.
I meant to reach out to you.
You haven't done it before.
I was going to, reach out to you and try and persuade you, but this week just disappeared. So I'm sorry.
So I think, even though I'm retired, my time is pulled in a lot of different directions too. I just got pulled into something else last week, having to do with the new prison or new jail. And I think that with bringing Desi and David on board and this engagement initiative, I'm been thinking I want to keep my both my time and my mental capacity open to put energy into that. Not to mention the code review process that I'm not even exactly sure where that stands. So I'd prefer to, in terms of the EAC, to put my energy into doing that, at least for the moment, rather than taking on the chair. And I think David is right. I think what Scott did was very constructive. And I think more of that at some point would be a good thing to do, to really sharpen what the priorities are and the focus. And I think that's been very helpful in the last year or so.
Okay.
And appreciate your inability to have that time. So if you're willing, or if Kathy would step up to be, let's say, a caretaker for the next 6 months or a year, we can revisit this question as we get some of these things.
Yeah,
kind of in
I
place.
would be willing to do it with David's help. I do have time. I haven't made many commitments. This is the one that's most important to me, especially at this event for the city. I think a lot of good things are happening towards sustainability, and we've got Bethany on board. So we've got a really talented and creative person who's good at networking and has already gotten relationships with lots of groups in the community. With Sarah on board, so we've got some new energy and ideas there. And it would really be I think you said the right word for me, is caretaker. I'm happy to chair a committee where I really do know a lot, but I'd like to groom somebody, or get somebody to come, give them some time. I would even do it for a year if we can get some other new people, and if one of them becomes comfortable that with our help they could step up and provide the leadership role, that would be great. So I'm willing to do it on a caretaker and temporary basis with David's help as the assistant chair. I have the most time.
I nominate Kathy as the chair and David as the vice chair for a year. I don't know how we want to word that, but
I'll second that. Thank you very much.
yeah.
Could I just make a comment as far as where I see this evolving? I
Yes,
think what
Martha.
I've learned is that we tending to move towards a more collaborative leadership model, that everyone understands their roles, but it's almost a team effort. So whoever needs to be able to facilitate the meeting, I think that's what's important, that they are aware of everything that's happening. But everyone's going to work in a team. So I don't think
Yeah.
that an undue burden should be on one person. And I think you'll find more people will be willing to step forward if you have that balanced kind of approach to leadership.
Well, and that is what we've been doing, partly because we lost some members, Marcia, but I think you're right. I see everybody that's on the EAC as providing lots of leadership and ideas and energy. I mean, people have stepped up to do whatever needs doing, and so I think we're in good shape, and especially, and I do want Bill to be available to work with Desiree and David because and especially on the clean energy, the climate sustainability and resiliency plan, because he knows lots about that and is in touch with a lot of people who can help us, I think. So I'd rather have him spend his time focusing on that aspect of our mission. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so
No,
I think, to underline what you all just said, it's hard to beat what Scott brought to the table. Like, he was just one of the most amazing facilitators I've ever come across.
No,
And
he is a professional facilitator.
right, but he was like amazingly good. And
Oh yeah, best I've ever known, best.
Right. and the sort of outline, I mean, I think it'd be good to follow the outline that he set up as far as, our priorities are concerned. And keep going back to that list of priorities that he was so generous to create for us. Anyway, so whoever,
Well, and I think too, I mean, I think that's a good point, and I'm confident that we could get Scott, maybe once we have another member or two, maybe in 3 or 4 months, and we've got the communications going and so forth. I bet Scott would come and do another round of strategic planning, because this would be about 3 years, and we anticipated coming back. We want to focus on our priorities, but we want to move with changing times too. So we should look at that again.
A lot of things have changed, like the infrastructure package that came out of Washington and things of that nature, to best utilize the funding and initiative.
Right. So I bet we could get him to come and help us do another strategic planning round to just update those our goals.
Yeah, I'm confident he would do that as well.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we need to take a vote. All those in favor of Kathy serving as chair on a caretaker basis for a year and me serving as vice chair on a caretaker basis for a year, signify their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Kathy, do you want to move forward with the agenda at this point, or do you want me to continue?
I would like you to continue.
Okay. Shelley's going to have to help me out only because I'm participating from my phone. She did send me, and I'm out of the office, so she sent me the agenda this morning. I can't flip back and forth on the phone. I do know the next item on the agenda, I believe, was the downtown plan. Is David not with us today, Kathy, because of his surgeries this week?
Yeah, he's not able to do that.
Okay.
Mainly because, yeah. And I frankly forgot to tell him he was supposed to do it.
Oh,
okay.
To be perfectly honest. No, I think I did tell him, but I told him like right after the meeting. and I didn't put it on his calendar or anything. So it's a combination of things, but
All right, well, we can certainly
Definitely
defer that.
put him on for the next meeting.
Yep, we can defer that till next month, not a
Okay.
problem.
Is he feeling okay now? Sorry.
Yeah, he's doing fine. It's just skin cancer. No, so it's not terribly debilitating or anything, but it's a minor ordeal, and he just had it yesterday. So he's supposed to rest up.
Yeah, my mother's had a number of those treatments, and they've all gone well, so wishing him well.
Yeah, this is the second one he's had. It's good. So
Shelley, what's next under old business on the agenda?
An update on the signage.
Okay, where do we stand on that? Yeah, is that you?
I don't believe so. I think it's in Bethany's court, where she was going to reach out to the graphics people and give them our logo.
Okay.
Yeah, I still need to do that. I just wanted to make sure, clarify the memorandum of understanding that you signed with them, Anne, included, I think, 2 meetings, like phone meetings. Have you done those yet? I just didn't want to make sure that I was going to incur extra charges.
Sign a memorandum of understanding with them at all, that I recall. It was just, phone calls and yeah, we'll do it. And that guy, the guy that was on the call with us yesterday, Chris Anderson, he's my contact at the Philadelphia Water Department that happened.
Yeah, I think we had left it that we would at least have it in writing in an email as a memorandum of a memorandum about the arrangement.
Yeah, I don't know, like maybe I dropped the ball somewhere, but I don't remember signing anything. It could be that I was supposed to.
Probably would have been the chair who signed. Did I sign anything for that, Shelley?
No, I thought it was sent in the original packet months ago with the where the graphic designs and everything are with what the billing is going to be.
Yeah, so I did not sign anything. Okay. And I think it would be the chair's place to do that.
Right. Okay. I wasn't sure. But I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to go over.
Yeah, I think it is coming back to me, and we did have that discussion, and we did say we were going to send him something to David, but probably we didn't.
Yeah, Shelley sent me a number of things to DocuSign, but I don't recall that being one of the ones that I signed.
No.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm happy to do whatever,
Shelley, I'm sorry, Shelley, do you know where the document is that she was referring to that was the draft?
I have a really, really, really almost from the beginning copy of that, and I don't know if it's accurate anymore. I don't have it.
Okay.
Not recent.
I think
anyway.
I have a copy of it. I just need to find it.
And so for everybody's information, the Green Infrastructure Committee did a flurry of extra meetings and trying to get all of the paperwork done for both our new communication and outreach people and for getting the signage completed. We wanted to get some done so that we could expend the monies from last year. We wanted to do a local group, and we had a lot of difficulty finding one that wanted to do it. And finally, we were going to just go with the same people that did as a pilot to do a few signs, the first few signs with the company that actually did them for Philadelphia, because they already had all the setup and so forth to do it quickly. All they needed was our logo. And we were just finishing, also meeting to finish up the logo and approve the logo. which was done locally and very nicely by Dean. And so that's where I left it as I knew. I thought we were reaching out to the New Jersey company that did it for Philadelphia and ordering signs.
Yeah, that was my takeaway. As soon as the logo was done, Bethany was going to reach out and you know, make sure that we had all the billing correct and everything pertaining to the construction of those signs. Is that right, Bethany?
Yes, I apologize. I wanted to make sure that I was within the locality or within the framework. And in the process of switching positions, but I'm still doing my old position. It's been a little hinky.
Oh, no, that's fine. I mean, it was.
Yeah, no, so I will make sure it gets added to it. It'll get bumped up the list again.
Yeah.
Especially now that people are coming back from the holidays.
Right.
We should be able to switch it out.
And do you need a definitive answer on the secondary logo with just the letters? Because I don't think I saw any emails in response to that.
I don't believe we have had a yes.
Yeah,
with that.
Bill had some questions, but that's the only response I saw.
I responded.
So that's still,
agree
so
with
that's
Bill.
still open. That hasn't been, sorry, Kathy.
Yeah.
But we don't need that for the signs. So
No.
we can.
Yeah, we're gonna do full logo that you guys
Yeah.
decided on for the signs.
Right, and then we're going to credit the Philadelphia Water Department for their gift. Yeah. So the ball's in your court there. Is that okay, Bethany?
It's okay, we'll get it done.
Okay.
So we'll get that finalized and Shelley will get that out to Kathy at this point for Kathy to sign by way of DocuSign, and we'll get that buttoned up.
Yeah, and you know, as far as the construction goes, we had all agreed that we did not want the cheapest sign. We didn't want the vinyl sign that fades. We want the higher quality sign.
Yes, no, I agree. We want to make sure it has the anti-vandalism coating on it as well.
Right. Yep. Okay, great.
Yep.
So we do have the specs and it's all set. We just need to finish.
You just need to finish it out.
Okay. And you did speak with spoke with Philadelphia yesterday? Is that right? With
Yeah,
water?
we were on the Schuylkill Action Network call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was a new facilitator and I don't think she really knew the ropes. It's usually run like a well-oiled machine and wasn't so much yesterday, but my contact at the Philadelphia Water Department was on the call.
Okay.
And so I wanted to kind of point that out to Bethany. That's who my contact is.
Okay, that's actually helpful because I have to talk to Chris about some other stuff anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
A great
Okay.
guy.
He
Yeah.
is.
Okay, then I think we're set to move on unless there's anything else you need from us, Bethany, because I know there were lots of dangling pieces that were sort of decided, but perhaps not completely.
If I have questions or if I need a yes or a no on something, I'll just send it in a group email.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, and okay, so Shelley, you had sent me something that I need to fill out for Nemo, the Italian place that's getting a tree trench sign. So
Yes.
I did not do that. Could you send that to me again? And I can try and fill that out. It's lost in the sauce.
Okay, I think we can move on to another one, David. I don't have.
Okay, Shelley, what's next on the agenda under old business?
Invasive plants and noxious weeds.
Okay,
So I can happily report that all three pieces of legislation proposed by the EAC has been unanimously adopted and acted by City Council. So
Yay!
we can call that project done. And also yesterday, I just sent you all a release about 2 new species being added. There were 2 that Kathy consistently notices on Mount Penn. So I was glad to see that as well.
Awesome.
And I was very appreciative to get that yesterday because I have probably a half a dozen Japanese barberry bushes on my property that just growing indigenously. I did not plant them. They came from elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I will be ripping them out this spring when I start doing my my spring cleaning outside.
Awesome.
And then you can, and David, you can get rid of them on Oak Lane, I think.
David.
That's where everyone else did.
I actually planted some at my house over 20 years ago, and they're in my front yard. So I'm contributing as well. They're the pygmy barberries.
Yeah.
And you know, I do have to say, for as barren as my property looks this winter, they are at least adding some red color to the landscape, but they won't be there next year. They'll be gone.
Go for red osier dogwood. Prettier, they're redder, and they're native.
Gotcha.
I will share that with you. I'll take pictures of my daughters. We put it in her wet spot on her lawn, and they're awesome. They're
they do like wet feet.
Yep, they
Great.
do.
Yeah.
I know one of the things we now need to do going forward is, you know, an educational piece about this, just like we did
Right.
with rain barrels.
Right.
So, you know, we'll need to pull collective thoughts together on, you know, how we go about getting the word out on this to the community. And the timing's good. You know, with spring right around the corner, a couple weeks away. You know, we could certainly pull together a BCTV program. I've actually been struggling with my time commitments to tend to this the last couple months, but this would be the perfect opportunity to jumpstart those programs again. But we would need to do more than simply a BCTV program to get the word
Right.
out of ordinance.
Right. We did some workshops with the rain barrels, and I do think this is suitable for workshops. And I would be happy to host some walks, like on Mount Penn Preserve, to show people, both explain about yard waste, and there'll be one of the things about Oak Drive is that you can see what has happened historically and continues to happen, because you can look at the houses across the street and see the landscaping, and then you see what escaped when they put their yard waste across the street instead of having the city pick it up, which is a wonderful service that the city does. So that those are some of the key things we wanted to say, was share that the city does the yard waste pickup. Perhaps, and I think Marcia mentioned this too, that like in 3 neighborhoods that have lots of trees and lots of landscaping, we get weekly pickup. Like in my neighborhood in College Heights, we get weekly pickup. Everybody else has to call. And that seems, if we could manage it, it would be really nice to make it easier for everyone and have a regular day or time that you don't have to call, even if it was just once a month. Even if you had a yard waste day that was going to be the first Wednesday of the month for a particular neighborhood, then people could put their stuff out then. So we could, that's one of the follow-up things we wanted to do, I think.
And maybe there's, sorry, David.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking the walk that you're mentioning, you know, Kathy, you know, certainly the College Heights area would be a perfect opportunity to do that in conjunction with the workshop in that community. Also, Marcia, you know, Hessian Camp, you know, I see a lot of yard waste bags there every week. That's where I'm at. You know, I certainly, that neighborhood would benefit as well from, you know, this type of walkthrough and discussion. Phil?
Well, I was going to say, you know, I'm in a neighborhood where we have to call, and
Exactly.
but what I had said before is, I mean, I didn't even know it. Rose knew it. I didn't know it. So I think that's part of the education we were talking about. But, you know, maybe getting back to what Kathy said, I mean, maybe there's something between what we have now, which I think it's 3 neighborhoods that have an automatic pickup. Maybe additional blocks in the city could be identified. I don't know that, because you can imagine trying to, I mean, I don't know what happens in up in Kathy's neighborhood, but the trucks must just do the blocks once a week to see what's out. I mean, that'd be a lot of additional blocks. And I think there are a lot of blocks in the city where the chance that there's going to be stuff put out is very slim, just because, the density, the lack of vegetation. But there probably are other parts of the city, like my block, where there are quite a bit of stuff that gets put out that could be added. And, we might identify other neighborhoods or other blocks, Center Park being one that probably is a likely candidate. But maybe these are sort of, so maybe it's incremental to see if the city actually has the capacity to add it. Now, the question is, who initiates that and how does that get done? So I don't know if that's something we need to ride herd on and follow up on, or if that's.
Since we have a good relationship and ongoing relationship with Public Works, I mean, I think it's a conversation we have with them about what might be possible and what would be easiest for them.
Yeah, that would be Steve Harity, who is the solid waste manager. I'm looking up because I know some of it changes a lot of it changes in the summertime.
Well, it changed. It changed this month.
Right.
Like Tuesday to Wednesday, and we got caught kind of in the middle of that. But
they switch it, I think, to only one day a week in the winter when they're focusing more on plowing and winter maintenance rather than picking up yard waste when there's not a whole lot growing.
Yeah, I think that's all part of that outreach and education. So, who talks to Steve? And should there be just a memo to Steve from the EAC saying this is something that?
I think we'd like to. I can send a note and say that we'd like to have a conversation about the current, what the current schedule is, how that works for them, and whether it would be possible to add some more, since we're trying to really work on this issue. Lester and Kyle participated in and helped, they actually initiated parts of the legislation because they needed it and wanted it to help them do their jobs. And so we've been collaborating with them, maybe have a conversation with the arborist and Public Works about how we could make our yard waste pickup more, reach more people and make it easier for people once they learn about this to then comply. And
well, I think that's a good idea, Kathy, and I'm certainly willing to be part of that conversation as a consumer. Sarah, is your neighborhood, does it have automatic collection, and do you even know?
I'm learning a lot through you, but no, we do. We do. So when I first moved to Berks County, my parents live over in like Adamstown or something. So they have lots of land and no pickup and no borough area to go dump stuff. And that's always been an issue. So when I moved here, I thought it was the best thing ever that the city supplied that. And my neighbors talked it up a lot. So we know that they come on Tuesday, and I thought they just stopped during the winter because we don't really have stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But, when we moved into our house, we had a lot of work to do because it was, vacant for a couple of months during the winter, and we were very happy. But I was wondering, do they have to be the yard waste bags from Lowe's? Can people use like a giant brown paper bag?
Sure.
The nod is yes, you could use a brown paper bag?
Yeah, as long as no plastic bags, as long as it's a craft type paper bag, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I mentioned Lowe's because a lot of people have asked, and I've lent my bags to people because they don't know where to get them at. And Lowe's, even though I'm not promoting any business, it's a simpler thing to say. People know what you're talking about. So I say Lowe's or Home Depot, and I write down what you need to look for. But I just wanted to make one suggestion as far as regular pickup. I think any blocks that were within a block of a wooded area, because what I noticed in my neighborhood is it's easier for people rather than putting out the yard waste and scheduling it. they just walk it to the top of the hill and dump it on the Neversink Preserve.
Yep.
As a result, it's been interesting. We've had daffodils grow up there, irises. Now we're having bamboo, and that's really going to be problematic as far as invasive.
Yeah, we're gonna have, yep, exactly. We're gonna have bamboo on Oak Drive because there's 2 people with bamboo. One of them carefully digs it up, cuts it up and wraps it up and has it tied up for Public Works to take, and the other takes it across the street. One of these days it's gonna sprout.
And
So-
one of the concerns I have with everything on both preserves is that tree shed is so fragile at this point due to other reasons that are keeping new trees from growing, that we're going to end up not having a forest at some point on Mount Penn and everything.
Yeah.
More Mount Penn, I see that being more endangered when you look at the number of new trees that are growing.
Well,
Everything seems to be taking care of itself, but I think it's because it's set apart a little bit from, all the traffic and everything.
Marcia, I'm glad you mentioned that, not to extend the discussion, but climate change is changing the mix, the forest mix ever so subtly, but so, things are shifting. So I'm glad you said that these areas are under stress because we could lose one of the amenities.
Exactly.
So anyway.
They're under a lot of stress. We have lots, and that's the other thing we can talk about. I mean, some of what's going on is diseases, and they're diseases that are also foreign, and they're also brought in with things like yard waste. So it all is, the invasives aren't just invasive plants, they're also invasive plant diseases. And we can see a lot of that happening on Mount Penn, certainly. Well, everywhere. And they're stressed because of the climate change. So our oak hickory is going to, you see our sugar maples disappearing. More northern. And fortunately, where oak hickory goes down, we'll have Virginia.
Right.
A lot of our woods can be the same, but the birches won't be happy, and they're not. They're almost all diseased. You try and find a birch in Penn Preserve that isn't diseased. It's not more than 10 years old.
Right.
So anyway, I don't want to elaborate. One of the things I promised to do, and I haven't done it yet, but I took a bunch of pictures. I will try and turn it into more of a PowerPoint with commentary on it that we could use in connection with a BCTV or workshop event, so that we have some pictures.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. And I can actually do some drive-throughs throughout the Hessian Camp area to try to identify some invasives in that geographic area as well. And maybe Kathy, if you can try to get a date scheduled for maybe late March, early April in the College Heights area, perhaps maybe on a Saturday with a rain date on a Sunday for a walkthrough. And then once that date is scheduled, maybe 2 weeks later, we can do one in the Hessian Camp area. And Marcia,
I'd be happy to walk through with you and see if I can help you identify what's there.
Yeah, no, that would be great. And Marcia, I've got an email chain. I mean, there's a very active community group in Hessian Camp, so I can reach out to Bill and team, let them know that we'd like to try to coordinate something like this for maybe the middle of April. And to ask his assistance and maybe identify homeowners in that area who might be supportive and would be willing to partner with us in this endeavor.
And we should also, so Marcia, we should also go up on to Neversink, up along the road, and take a look at some of the things and get some photos so people understand. Because I'm sure a lot of people, it's easier, but I'm sure they think, I could compost this if I had a big yard, but it'll just compost if I send it, take it up in the woods. So it's a good thing. But it's not a good thing. But I'm sure a lot of people think they're actually helping the organic material to turn into soil in the woods.
Some of them are critical thinkers, other ones just dumb. I also think it's important when we look at Neversink is to make sure we include Berks Nature because they own that land.
Right. Well, I've been talking with Larry Lloyd a lot about this.
Good.
Just both hysterical about the invasives. Well, they can't even, it's amazing because even on Burke's Nature's property, even at Angelica, they've stopped even trying to get rid of some of the invasives on some of the property because they can't do it.
Mhm.
We learned so
That-
much from
which-
that river
yeah.
walk.
Yeah, exactly. Bill and I went on a river walk with them and it's
With
just,
Bethany.
yeah, and yep. And it was
Um,
appalling, yeah.
so maybe they'd be interested in partnering on some kind of
I'm sure they
education.
would, I'm
community
sure they
outreach.
would.
So that's
I
great.
just want to come back to the bag question. I think it's one of the disincentives. And Marcia, we talked about, I brought this up before and I don't think you were on, but there was a stage in the curbside recycling when you had to separate newspapers and put them in a paper bag.
Right,
And
right.
I was going into City Hall a lot at that time, and there was a box with paper bags. So you could they were there for the taking. So that may be something, I'm not sure how it gets funded, but if bags could be made available by the city, as we're ramping this up and educating people and maybe expanding it, it might enhance compliance and people doing it.
Well, there might be a possibility. If you look at how the bags are, obviously when you buy them at Lowe's, they have Lowe's name on it because that's advertising for them. We might be able to find a partner that's willing to help contribute and use that as advertising for them, as long as it's a partner that's consistent with our values and such.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So I don't know how that process gets moved along, but I thought I'd mention it while you were on.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. Really see if we could get somebody to donate some and we could announce that as part of the whole
Yeah.
initiative and promotion of
What is it?
invasive and pro yard waste cleanup.
Well, interstate is, what is it? Interstate container?
Well, it has changed its name. I can't remember the name.
But they
That's
produce
yes,
cardboard.
Smith now.
D.S. Smith.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
right. They produce cardboard, right? I mean, do they
Yes.
produce bags? But
I
maybe
don't
they do.
know. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Well, this,
I would
all
be
good.
happy.
go ahead.
I would be happy to do some research on that and see like if there's any partner that works with Lowe's or reach out to Lowe's directly. I solicit a lot of donations at my job,
That would be awesome.
so I can just see
Right.
what's out there.
Another place that has them and has their name on it that's smaller is Weaver's, Ace Hardware out. It's not in the city, but
Right.
I was
That's right.
surprised because it was a smaller group and had their own yard waste bags.
Yeah, I get all mine at Ace as well. I used to go up to Fleetwood for them, but now that they have the Sinking Spring store, I've been going there. Weiss Markets actually has bags. Redner's does not, but Weiss always has yard waste bags. Sometimes I'll go there. If I need them in a pinch and don't want to drive out to Sinking Spring, I can always head out to the Weiss out in College Heights and grab them there.
Nice. I do
That's
think
what-
though, what you guys mentioned before, if Public Works could do like a month, 1 day a month pickup, because now that I'm a homeowner, right, I've been learning about this environmental stuff and preaching it to others, but now I have to do it on my own. I don't know if I would be able to call or keep that in mind. And it is because they come every week that I'm like, okay, I can go and get a bag. And that's why I asked about the Giant bags, because it helps me in a pinch. If I'm out at Giant, I could just grab a couple of brown paper bags and use them. So that's good. I think that's a really cool initiative. I'm all for the education. If there's anything I could do to help with that, create a flyer or, help push out different things, I'm here.
Right.
You get that,
Sign up.
Bethany?
Take the lead on our outreach initiative to get the yard waste program in
Yeah.
people's minds and get it, and also help them make some recommendations to see if we can get some better coverage.
And I think if you've got any thoughts it sounds like, Sarah, you're willing to chase down potential entities, like companies in the city that might be willing to put in some funds to put a name on a bag that the city could produce. And I would say if anybody has any ideas, to send them to Sarah, whether it's Marcia or Bethany. I mean, Bethany's.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
I'm getting some in the chat. I'm writing them down, and I like the
Yeah.
Weaver's Ace Hardware.
It'll all help bring awareness to all of it.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is
Even
all
if we
great.
could,
This has been a-
even if we could find a plain one and then just put the EAC logo on it.
Right. Yeah, I was
just the
thinking that
bag,
too.
Just the bag, yeah, yep.
Yep.
You know, the sort of just a part of the conversation that we haven't talked about is a lot of that stuff that's compostable, I'm sure ends up in the waste stream because people put it in their trash. They don't
Yes.
bother separating, they just put it in their trash. So, you know, it's the environmental advantages of increasing compliance are manifold, so,
Yeah, the more you think about it, the more it's connected to lots of other things.
yeah, exactly.
So I have a question about yard waste as it pertains to composting, just because I don't know the answer. So is it possible to sort of kill them off if you're composting correctly and heating up your compost in the correct way so that the seeds are killed off?
It's possible.
Usually the heat level you reach in a home composter will not kill off seeds. Commercial composting, yes, because it gets up to like 130 degrees in the center and they turn it and it will. But so it's okay to send it to some place like, you know, municipal, if the municipality has a composting facility and it's done in the big windrow piles and gets turned. That does work, the heat, but ordinary compost, even though my composter out back is warm all the time, it's not, I take seeds out because it won't kill seeds.
Yeah.
So what does Reading do with the yard waste? What do they do with it? Where does it go?
That's a good question. I know like the trees and branches get chipped. I'll have to add, that's a question I'll have to ask Steve of where we take our composting to be composted.
They,
I know like Exeter Township near me has a composting facility that I can't access because I'm not part of Exeter Township.
Right.
And I would love to be able to go get some good leaf compost or something of that nature for my garden. And it would be, you know, a great way to utilize what is collected in the city of Reading.
Yeah. Bethany, I'm glad somebody else raised that. We should find out, and longer term thing could be to have our own composting facility if possible. I helped start one 30 years ago in Camp Hill, and we did just what Ann said. It was, and it really did create a sense of community that you said you raked out your leaves and you pruned your bushes and you put all that stuff in bags so they could take it out and they could, or in the street so they could take it out and they could compost it. And then you could come and pick up compost, anybody who was a member. So you'd have a long-term supply, and it feels like, you know, then you see the cycle of nature and also feel that you're getting something back. And since we have so many community gardens, that would be a really good thing if we could have a composting facility that then the community gardens would have access to. And just
is there a site in Reading to be utilized for that? Is there a good site for that?
Oh, I'm sure any number of this abandoned sites that we're looking at for.
Yeah, I mean, because I know like sometimes, you know, we do have the woodshed area. I just have never been up there. There are other sites that we're taking a look at to do bigger scale composting at. That would include food waste.
Okay.
We're trying to move that wish list thing out of the wish list bucket.
Yeah, that's a much bigger challenge than leaf composting.
Yeah.
Much trickier.
Yeah. But yeah, the leaf compost, it would be a question for Lester and Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, and Bethany, you may want to keep in mind, I'm actually involved in a project out in Robizonia. So it's a low-level contamination site that qualifies for DCED grant funding that the borough of Robozzoni is using to create a local composting facility. It's going to require a 2-foot soil cap. And then on top of the 2-foot soil cap, the borough is going to use it as their yard waste recycling center. And the grant from the state is about $250,000, and it's going to almost fully fund all of this work. So don't think of those types of sites for something like this, but certainly it's being done out there in a protective way, so that it's a win-win for the community, getting this property back into reuse, and the work that's required to make this a yard waste recycling center is fully funded by a DCED grant. So just food for thought.
Okay. And good luck to good luck on that too.
Yeah.
It sounds like a fun project.
Yeah. So this has been a great conversation, a lot of ideas. I'm sensing a lot of energy about this moving forward. We've all got some homework to make this happen, but we'll certainly keep this on our agenda, and looking forward to a lot of great things about this topic in the next couple months. So let's keep things moving. Shelley, what's next on the agenda under old business?
A new member update.
Okay. So we did,
as you know, we had a new member, Becky, who was supposed to join us several months ago and has not attended a meeting and has not responded to my outreach. So I asked David to do some of that, and she did not respond to him either.
Correct.
So there is a process to remove members who are not going to be active if the EAC wishes to take that direction, which would start with the letter from David being sent to her. She's not responding to email or phone call. That gives her the opportunity to respond and say, I'm sorry, I really do want to stay and get active. Or it gives her the opportunity to say, it's more than I can handle, move forward. So, but I would kind of need to have the sense of the group before any action is taken.
And I think if we're going to take action, we should do that by way of a motion, since this would involve removing a member. If that's the route we want to take, even so much as a letter, let's do this the right way by motion if we want to do this.
Yeah, why doesn't the motion, I guess I'll make it, just kind of address the process, so we don't have to revisit this again in a month, that the initial letter would go out. Assuming there's no response, we can conclude that over whatever period of time, I mean, by next meeting, we can conclude that she's not interested, and then take a vote at that meeting to remove her. Is that?
Well, the next step then would be the EAC recommending her removal to City Council. They're the ones, because they make the appointment, they would have to rescind that to remove her. So the EAC then would recommend to Council to follow through with the removal, to open up a slot for someone else who may be more interested.
Can we have a proposal that includes that step, so all of this can just kind of move along? I mean, I think it's clear that she's not interested. It's been 6 months. Plus, we have someone who may be able to identify some potential members, which I'll get to in a second. So I move that, well, I guess Kathy would send the letter now as the new chair, saying what you've stated, Kelly. And if by, I don't know, do we want to wait till the next meeting, or just 2 weeks time, if she hasn't responded, just move on to the next step? Or do we have to do this step by step? I'm having a conversation with myself.
I think we can say if by the next meeting, and then we would, at the next meeting, we would be recommending, well, we can actually, like you said, Bill, we can say, then at the next meeting, if it hasn't done by the next meeting, we will ask Shelley to send a letter
Council. Okay.
to Council recommending that they reopen that position.
It's gonna be.
Because we have if we didn't have an open position or two anyway, I would push faster, but to fill it
Right,
by next meeting, so.
right, and the process of people submitting their name and meeting with the committee takes a little while anyway, so. Right, as of right now, technically, we have one opening, not two.
Yeah, and Kathy, I can send you the email that I sent to Becky outlining some of this process. So that you to pull your letter together.
That'd be great.
David, I may be putting you on a spot, David Nazario, but you can elect to say nothing. Do you have anything, is there anything you'd like to say regarding potential new members?
Sure.
Before we move on, I'm sorry, David, before we move on, we need a second to the motion and action on that, and then we can continue. I'm sorry.
Second,
Okay, it moved and seconded. Any comment? If not, the motion is to authorize Kathy to send a letter to Becky indicating that if she next meeting, stating that she wants to continue, we can be recommending to at our next meeting that she be removed as a member of the EAC. All those in favor of the motion consent by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carried.
Can I ask a related question?
Yes,
I don't know if
yes,
anybody
Bill.
knows the answer. You know, most nonprofits have some kind of something in their bylaws that if you don't attend, I mean, some say if you don't attend 2 consecutive meetings, that's grounds for removal. Is there anything at all? 3 meetings?
It's 3 meetings.
So do we in fact have grounds to propose to council that she be removed? Or we have to do the letter?
I'm pretty sure we have to do the letter anyway. I'm just double checking my files to see when she was appointed.
It's September? I thought October was her first meeting, but maybe not. Maybe September was supposed to be her first meeting.
She was appointed in the middle of September, so the September meeting should have been her first one with us.
So this
But
would be-
even if we could, I think it's appropriate to try one
Okay.
more time, give a
All
formal
right,
saying, you know,
yeah, we've
saying
done,
that.
okay,
and, you know, and especially since council acted on this, you know, we can then get back to council saying, you know, she just hasn't ever come and she isn't responding to us, so.
okay. She
We
responds to
recommend you
letters, then
reopen the slot.
Right.
okay, and if she says yes, she wants to be a member, doesn't come to the next meeting, we can have a conversation about
Yep.
it. Okay. All right.
All right, Bill, you had a question for David about membership.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants to speak to this.
did we vote? I
Yeah.
guess we did.
Yes, we did.
Hey, yeah, I was just wondering what the process was, and I'm kind of hearing it now. I think it's great to have those systems in place for sure, but I think it might be also a good idea to consider some of our actions on a case by case or an individual basis. For like, for example, if Becky, if we're looking to broaden our scope in terms of diversity and inclusion and people that are natives of Reading, for example, if Becky, I don't know Becky, but if Becky is a queer Latina native of Reading, then maybe we might want to take some other avenues to talk to her, maybe have a conversation with her, something that's a bit more personal, so we can find out, is there a reason why you're not coming to the meetings? Because I think that would also help with the effectiveness of the council. Is it the time of the meetings? Is it the energy of the meeting? Is it the, whatever the case might be, or is it just might be that she doesn't have time? So I think I'm saying all that to say I think it is a good idea to look at it kind of on a case by case basis and also have those systems in place.
Yeah, I think you may have missed that she's been called, emailed, no.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what else you do to try and, if she won't talk to us.
Can I make a comment as far as people's contributions? Is that we're in a structure that is very formal as far as meetings, times, minutes. Some people can give to the community and have an interest, but that might not be the way they feel most comfortable. So I sort of agree a conversation with her as far as during her interview, it looked like she was interested. Is there anything about the way that we're operating that doesn't mean we need to change our formal structure, but there may be another way she could still contribute. There certainly is a lot of need for community connections and such. So I just don't want to, how can I put it, shame a person while you couldn't come to the meeting, therefore you're kicked out of the organizations. Let's look at what her strengths might be.
Yeah, absolutely. And also just thinking
The
about our
problem
structure.
is we have not been able to get a conversation with her at all about anything.
Right.
So we'd love to have all this conversation. She could just be on a committee. She could do,
Right.
propose her own initiative or project. You know, but I mean, we were simply told that council had appointed her and we have not heard or seen anything.
So
Despite efforts by Shelley and David repeatedly.
I have to jump off right now. I had a 1 o'clock and I have to get on that. So
Yep.
they just called me and I ignored it and I have to call them back.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Thanks, Ann.
all right, bye.
Hi, Ann.
Well, David, I think the points you're making are really, I mean, they're really valid, and I think those should be kept in mind. And if there's a chance to converse with Becky about this, it'd be great.
I would suspect that Kathy sends the letter, she's, you know, you don't have to formally engage as a member of the EAC. We have other opportunities for you on various subcommittees where you could make an impact.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're certainly throw that option out there to her.
Oh, yeah, this wouldn't be a, you didn't show up, so you're out, kind of thing. It would be kind of,
Exactly.
we'd really love to have you, like, as Marcia said and David said too, we'd love to have you participate in whatever way you would like to, but we also need to know whether you want to be a member. Because we'll get somebody else to be a member if you don't. And, but we'd love to have you participate in some way, you know, propose a project, be on a subcommittee, write something for the new blog that Desiree is going to do. You know, there are lots of ways she could participate if she is decided she really doesn't want to do a, you know, formal regular meeting, or maybe she can't in the middle of the day, or whatever the reason may be.
Yeah, and I think the letter can include the points that David made. That, you know, we understand that the time of day is not good. However,
may be
I forget how he characterized the meeting, but yeah, these meetings aren't for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but apropos to that, David, you had said that you thought you might know some folks. Maybe sitting through this meeting, you've changed your mind, but.
No, for sure. I think as I continue to learn more about the EAC and the mission and the values and so forth, I'll be able to better identify and just become familiar with the group. I'll be able to better identify some people. But one person I had in mind is Tiana Lopez, and she actually runs the community garden at the Gaga Works. So when we were having a conversation about composting, that was a name that popped into my head that might be a good connection for us. And I don't know I know they're just getting started. They've only been up and running for a couple of months, but I know she also does an educational component with, I believe, Lawrence Park students. So if there's some way to bring in the educational component with the young people, I think that really, I think that speaks to what we're trying to do as far as educate, you know, the grownups, but also educate the future generations and give them that lesson to not submit the crime paperwork. Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she was one of my ideas, and maybe it's a conversation. I can definitely have a conversation with her. And another person I was thinking about was a young man named Xavier Kerr, who's done a lot of different things with different grassroots groups in the city. One of them being Make the Road Pennsylvania and Sunrise Berks, and he was somebody that I thought about in terms of one of these seats on the board, on the council.
I think those are both good ideas.
David,
I may have talked to Xavier in the past, but he also knows Stephanie really well, vice versa.
Okay.
But I think, and including with Tiana, I mean, I think partly it has to do with some of the things you just said, that, and I think I speak for the rest of the board. I mean, I think our sense is as we change the makeup of the council, what we focus on, you know, you mentioned Tiana and what she's doing, and it may, and educational stuff. It may be that who we are, what we kind of focus on within the parameters of the mission of the EAC will shift. I mean, it's just, that's to be expected. And that's kind of invited. And it may be, I know one of the people I spoke to at one time was concerned about being on because they would be the one person, the one young person. Right now it's Sarah, and that it would be in a sense a challenge to try and operate within that environment. But I think as the makeup changes and the balance starts to shift, then the conversation changes. So what it looks like today would not look the same in several months or a year. So I think it's worth talking to those people again. And there's a difference between one of us inviting Xavier and maybe you suggesting it to Xavier. There's a difference right there alone. So
absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do, maybe do another strategic planning session, because if we have some new members that are, Ann and I are both passionate about green infrastructure, stormwater control. So, and that was a timely thing, and it was something the city could do, and got lots of vacant land that isn't beneficial and could be for at least for environment and stormwater purposes. So anyway, there's no reason why we can't shift into other areas, and will with climate change and sustainability issue. I mean, we've certainly been pushing climate change issues and clean energy, but we don't have, that could be mostly what we're doing in the next few years. It's up to the people who are here to focus us and get us doing things.
All right, any further discussion about the topic of membership? Any other old business items left, Shelley?
There are, I'm not sure how much discussion there would be. It's the plastic bag ban.
Yeah, and nothing's happened. That's on me. Nothing has happened since our last meeting. There's some homework that I need to do to report back to everyone, so we can defer that till next month.
Then is the Act 2 database.
And that is likely on hold through the end of the spring. So we are waiting for Liberty Environmental's next summer intern to start. I'm keeping in conversation with Andy Fetterman from Liberty because he certainly wants to move forward with that initiative next summer when their intern is in place. So let's defer that conversation till next month as well. But I continue to keep that one on my radar screen to hopefully have things lined up with Liberty so that they can get started by late spring with their work.
And for Sarah's benefit, I just mentioned that this is really one of our main environmental justice initiative at the moment, which is trying to get a decent database that people can access to find out where we do have hazardous materials, toxic materials, past spills, cleanups that have been done, so that because people are very concerned that they're being exposed to toxic chemicals, and sometimes that's with cause, and sometimes they could stop worrying if we would have could help get a good database so people could say, what about this property? What happened there? Should I be worried? That's what's going on with Act 2 being brownfields cleanups. So we want to know what the county has a database, but there's updating and things that also needed to be added.
Yeah, and that database from the county is not always complete because when cleanup letters from DEP go out, they usually don't go to the county, they go to the local municipality. So if we're getting a database from the county, it may not necessarily be complete.
Right.
Shelley, any other old business items?
The chat with the EAC.
And refresh my
That-
memory of that one. Who was spearheading that?
That came through the green infrastructure. It was part of what they were talking about with bringing David and Desi into the EAC conversation.
Yeah, I think that's simply an item that can wait for discussion, but basically one of the things we wanted to provide with having a more website internet presence that Desi would help us do. And David would help us find partners to do it with, that we would host a chat with the EAC as one possibility, that people, just an open conversation, people could talk with us, and we would maybe connect with a group, maybe Barrio, for example. Maybe we say, okay, Barrio, how about on such and such a day, pick a date, and we'll have at least one or two EAC members to talk with your group and engage the community and answer questions. So that was a thought about a possibility of something that we could do to help get ourselves more in, develop relationships within the community, that we would have some chats with open chats. And one of the thoughts was that we could have it before or after a meeting. So just think about that, and we'll talk about it more.
Yeah, and I think part of it was not so much that we're talking to people of the community, but we're hearing from them. That's why.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We actually would change it to listening sessions.
Yeah.
That we
But
instead of a chat with a listening session. Yeah.
I mean, what I anticipate, and maybe now's the time to have this conversation or under updates, is once now we've got sort of the paperwork and the payments in place for David and Desi, we can begin kind of the process of putting some meat on the bones of exactly what is it that we've just embarked on. And I think these chats are part of that conversation. I think it's kind of it's all part of an integrated approach to connecting to and engaging the community. And I think one of the reasons we chose to bring in both Desi and David is they both articulated that really well. I mean, it was clear they both had an understanding of how important that is as a part of moving this along. So it seems to me that we don't need to discuss it now, but whenever we convene, that working group convenes to talk this through, we'll start to develop what makes sense. Does it make sense as part of a meeting? Does it make sense as separate meetings? Is it a little bit of both?
Yeah, and we did have some good discussion about it in our infrastructure committee meeting and in our meetings with Desiree and David. But I just wanted to share with the rest of the board, they should be thinking about what kinds of things do they think would be useful, or do you know some partners that would like to share what they're worried about, what they're concerned about, what they're hearing from neighbors with us, so we could learn more about it and try and focus on some of those things.
Okay. All right, we've got about 5 minutes left, and I've got to leave at 1:30. So 5 minutes to complete a discussion about project updates and new business. Is there anything pressing that needs to come before the council today?
I would just come back to, since we're all here, I'm thinking we should convene a follow-up conversation with Desi and David, Bethany, Kathy, Stephanie, and myself.
Right.
It's not a closed group. If anybody else is, Sarah, if you want to jump in on that.
Yeah, we just
It's just a
volunteered
working
to.
group. Yeah, we did. So
Yeah.
I
Just wanted to make sure that they had, that they had a commitment of time and resources from us, from the committee, from the EAC, to work with them and figure out, what, and try and help them with whatever they think would be good.
So real quickly, David and Desi, what do you suggest as a way that we communicate, you know, I mean, what I would do is I'd send out an email probably, but maybe you have a better idea how we can start a communication for those of us who are going to participate in this process. And how that should, you know, what platform, I don't know, you know, how should that happen as the most efficient way for everybody? Maybe we can just close the meeting out and we can hang on a few minutes afterward to have that conversation.
Yeah,
David,
I think-
let me go.
That's
Yeah, we
fine.
could do that. I could do that.
Okay, great.
Just, you know, take 5 minutes maybe just to pick a time or figure
Yeah.
out a way to pick a time. Okay.
All right. If not, Shelley, our next meeting is February, is it the 22nd?
Yes.
Okay. Tuesday, February the 22nd at noon, and Shelley will be sending out an agenda in advance. Is there anything else for the collective today that we need to discuss?
Do we have a green infrastructure committee scheduled?
We do not.
I think we better have one. So we're gonna have to follow up on the sign issues, and we do want to follow up on getting workshops and plans for the invasive education.
And we haven't talked about the code, the whole code
and
review, where that's
The code,
stands.
yeah, the code thing, and also, Bethany, is there any update? Wearing your two hats, you must know everything there is to know about the climate, climate action and sustainability and resilience plan.
Climate action. I'm still calling it the CAP because that's how I type it out when I'm writing.
Okay, climate action plan, I'm
Yeah,
fine.
so we can just call it climate action plan, and then hopefully one of the things that we can do as we have some more smaller work groups and get some more communication is give it a nicer name.
Yeah.
Then, you know, that's just not so trippy. It's always been a working plan, you know, it's a working plan and draft. The title has been a working draft plan. I am ready to start back up with it whenever everybody else is. So I'm thinking we could even start scheduling some small, I think Zoom meetings at this point, even though we're seeing numbers go down again.
Yeah, it's down from a really big peak, so.
Yeah.
We get down.
But
now.
yeah, I went down. I'm like, I want to remember the term flatten the curve.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we have fun things that we want to do in April. So, you know, maybe we can put together some smaller group sessions with each of them and kind of update and realign as we've been meeting some of our goals.
So shall
in
we
the draft.
do that?
But I
in the
think we
green
can do that
infrastructure?
in the green infrastructure.
And let's do that
meeting.
sooner let's, instead of trying to do it a week before EAC, let's do it like in 2 weeks from now. In 2 weeks. Is Friday still good for people? Oh, we were gonna get off. Never mind, we're not off. We've got poor David still hanging there. And,
Yeah, you know what? Let's do,
yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn in a second, then I can leave and you can continue your scheduling discussion.
Okay,
Is there a motion second to adjourn?
yes, I move to be adjourned.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, David. So
Bye-bye.
I guess the
Nice
rest
to
of us all are hanging on here. So basically we've got 2 meetings to schedule.
Yes. We need to schedule a green infrastructure meeting. And we
So
need to schedule communications and community engagement meeting.
Yeah. So
Would it be helpful for me to also be a part of the green infrastructure meeting? Because I feel like it might be.
Yeah, probably it would.
Yeah, I'm happy to attend both because I think it's important for me to get abreast with as much as possible.
No,
Just-
it's because we've got, yeah, we have at least 4 projects, initiatives that are underway. And
Okay.
some of them are early and some of them are wrapping up. So especially on the early ones, we can use all the fresh ideas we can get.
All the help we can get. I would prefer to get our communications team plan
Right,
together sooner
No,
I'm looking at next week,
that sounds good.
and I am generally fairly open.
Okay,
So, and you guys know my rule, whoever gets on the calendar first wins.
That's
And
my
now,
rule too.
Just to be clear, Bethany, when you say the communications team, that this is the work we're going to be doing with Desi. and
Yes,
David.
Desi and David.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I think, yes, I have a
that's the
feeling.
most
that we're
important
gonna-
thing to do next, yes.
So next week,
Because I know Desi has classes, so I think we need to be most respectful of trying not to schedule
Oh, yeah,
during class time.
Yeah,
The rest of
must
us
go
can be
to
a little
class.
more flexible. Yeah,
must go to class.
so, and David, you have your.
I mean, we know the professors and all, but we're like not that tight with them.
I'm pretty
You need
open,
me
so
in that one or no?
I don't think so,
No,
Shelley.
we don't have, you don't have to be in that one. I need you in the infrastructure subcommittee,
Okay,
because my head is like a sieve, as you know, and I won't
I will
remember.
start sending you your list of reminders. I got you.
Well, David, what's your time? Are you in Lancaster a day a week, particular days that you can't do this?
on Wednesday, I'm pretty open every day except Wednesday up next week. So
Okay.
That's the same for me also.
Do you prefer morning or afternoon?
I prefer afternoon.
Okay.
But I can do morning.
I can do Thursday.
Mhm.
Well, Tuesday or Thursday, like between 3 and 4, or like noon to 2. Tuesday it would be like noon to 1.
Sarah, are you entertaining being part of this or?
I'm interested in learning more just because I'm so new.
Yeah, I don't want you to, fill your life with meetings. You'll go, what did I agree to do? But so do we need for this meeting, this communication meeting, should we kind of work
Let's-
around what your availability is or?
What's Desiree's?
I'm fine with those times, any day except Wednesday.
Okay, so which do you prefer? So I'm okay with Tuesday at noon or Thursday at noon. Or what was the other time? The 3?
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
I can do either on Thursday. On Tuesday, I can't do 3 o'clock. I have an afternoon meeting.
So Thursday times are good for me, but I could do Tuesday if it comes to that. I have something at 11, 12 o'clock's a little difficult like today.
Okay. So it sounds like Thursday at noon.
If
Sounds
that's
pretty good to
if you
people.
guys-
Okay,
Yeah.
that'd be
okay.
great.
Okay.
Do that.
Hey, Jules, how are you?
I will send out the invitation.
And you're not going to capture the same, you're going to capture everything.
Okay, so we got that one.
Okay. Um,
I'm gonna schedule it for an hour and a half, so it's blocked out on my calendar.
that's perfect.
By no means do we have to take a whole hour and a half. I just
No,
know that we
that's
all like
okay.
to be chatty.
Yeah. Try and be better. But-
Well, we've got, we've got some stuff to sort through.
Yeah.
And there is what do we have? We have a job description that's floating around somewhere that kind of kind of spoke to what we were thinking. Maybe, I guess we've all seen that except Sarah.
Who has custody of that at the moment? We could send it.
I have the signed ones that were submitted to
Okay, could you just send
accounting.
those out for this meeting so that we remember to go over it just as a
Yeah, I think as a starting point. that's
starting place,
kind of
and then we
helps.
can.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will let Stephanie know unless you're including her, Bethany. Yeah, she'll want to be part of that if she can. Noon sounds like it might be a good time.
Yeah. So then how about the following week for a Green Infrastructure Committee meeting?
Yeah.
We have been doing Fridays at noon because that seemed good for people, but I'm,
And we started a little bit earlier, 11 or 11:30. I have a 2:30
okay.
already scheduled that I have to travel to, so it's not jumping from one Zoom to another.
Okay. Does that sound good to people? 11 on Friday, the 11th? 11 to 12:30?
That works for me.
That works for me as well.
Okay, awesome.
What did we say, 11 o'clock?
11 to 12:30, an hour and a half on
Okay.
Friday, the 11th. That
I
way-
just sent out the Zoom call for the communications group.
Okay. And Shelley, maybe you could send it out for the Green Infrastructure Group.
Yeah, I'll update the agenda and get that sent out probably later next week, so it's not too
Yeah.
early for everyone to
Yeah.
lose.
Right. Good plan. She knows us so well.
It's not just you, believe
Not
me. If
too
I send
early,
it too
not too
soon,
late.
it
Yep.
gets pushed down in everybody's
Yes.
email and then they can't find it. So it's all
Exactly.
good.
That's what happens.
And I'm still in the process of transferring files from one laptop to another one.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
still.
All right, then I think we're good to go and we can continue some conversations next week and the following one. Yay. And
Very
thank
good.
you so much, Sarah, for joining
Thanks
us.
for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if I can continue on the committees, but I definitely want to come for these first couple of
Yeah,
March.